Welcome to the channel. Today we're looking at some of the ugliest cars out there in the wild. So let's start with the obvious choice. The Tesla Cybertruck. A car recognized as trash even by nature. Yeah, raccoons are mistaking the Tesla Cybertruck for a dumpster or large trash can. When the little trash pandas go out and look for, food, trash, they go and try to open Cybertrucks thinking they have food inside. So it's recognized by raccoons as trash. There's even a full-on article about why the Cybertruck is ugly by Honest Broker. The article says, I didn't really grasp the depths of contemporary ugliness until I saw the Tesla Cybertruck crawling like a viper through my suburban streets, resembling nothing less than a military tank for some imminent civil war. The Cybertruck tells us much about corruption of aesthetics in our time. When I see pleasing car designs from the past, the first word that comes to my mind is curvilinear. It's as if the gods of advanced geometry inspired their birth, mixing straight and round in intoxicating new ways. But the Cybertruck looks like it was designed by a third grader with a pen and a ruler, who spent about 3 minutes drawing straight lines on the back of a homework assignment. But when I see these vehicles barreling down the road, I'm reminded of Texas saying, applied to newcomers who strut like cowboys, but without any real cowpoking skills to back it up. All hats and no cattle. So that was that article. So I also went into Reddit to see what people had to say about the Cybertruck. It looks like a cyberpunk vehicle that didn't load properly. Personally, and I know that I'm in the minority, I love the design, but yeah, doesn't change the fact that it's not safe and riddled with problems. That is true. I mean, I saw a video where someone demonstrated that it can cut your fingers off. I seen a bunch where I live already. It's so ugly, but I can't stop looking at it. Someone I saw wrapped theirs in white, and it looked horrible. You could totally see how uneven and warply the panels were in a glossy white. It's like someone tried to make a 6-year-old car drawing into a real thing. Ugly, not very useful as a pickup, and way too expensive. That is true. The truck has a limited range, especially with cargo. Batteries run out really fast and it takes a while to charge, so not really useful as a truck. So we have to rate this one in our little tier list as hideous, because it's not functional, it's actually really ugly, and it's riddled with problems. Now our next ugly vehicle is the Chevrolet SSR, a vehicle that went from 2003 to 2006. SSR stood for Super Sport Roadster. It was a retro style truck. It was supposed to be the recreation or the updated version of the 1954 Chevrolet Advance. I actually do like that truck. That one looks extremely nice. But the Chevrolet SSR depends on who you ask, really. It did have a really powerful 5.3 300 horsepower engine, 7.7 seconds 0 to 60, so not too bad. Styling wise though, depends. Unlike the 1950s Chevrolet Advance, it didn't actually look that great. It looked like some kind of Pokemon. The main reason was because something that worked back in 1950 cannot work in the 2000s. You needed to place aerodynamics and fuel efficiency, something that back in the 50s wasn't really part of the design language of the vehicle. So the SSR is gonna turn out into something completely different from the 1950s counterpart. Even though this vehicle is, depends on how you ask, ugly, let's see where we're gonna place it in our little tier list. I think this truck isn't hideous. It's not awful, it's not ugly. I'd say ugly but cool, right? I have a soft spot for trucks, so I'd say ugly but cool. Now the prince of ugliness, the Pontiac Aztec. This vehicle I think is one of the most ugliest vehicles that you will ever see. It doesn't matter which way you look at it. It's ugly from all sides. It's ugly from the back, side, front, top. It doesn't matter where you look at it, it's just completely ugly. So we're gonna put this vehicle in hideous. The Audi A2. Some vehicles are just depressing. This has to be a super depressed vehicle. It looks like something like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. It's a depressing little vehicle. Even though it got really good fuel mileage. It had a 3-liter engine that got 78 miles per gallon. That's an impressive amount of gas mileage, but too bad it looked really depressing. In a little tier list, we're gonna put this one at ugly, since it does have a redeeming quality. It is fuel efficient. Now this is a special one. I'm pretty sure everyone's familiar with the Ferrari 330, right? It's a beautiful, beautiful Ferrari. It looks like something James Bond would drive. But there was a counterpart to that one. There was someone who designed a special 330 GT. And that was the one-off Ferrari 330 GT Nevero. A extremely hideous vehicle. I have no idea what people were thinking or whoever designed this thing to make it, because I don't know, you can't describe how ugly this thing is. And you cannot guess how much this vehicle's estimated price is. $400,000 to $600,000. That is just a waste. I think that in our little tier list we have to put this one in the hideous section. PT Cruiser, another ugly vehicle. I'm pretty sure a lot of people own this, right? These were extremely popular for some reason. The PT Cruzer is a compact vehicle made by Chrysler back in 2001 until 2010. The PT Cruzer will go into awful. The first generation Nissan Leaf. To me, the Nissan Leaf kinda looks like a platypus. I don't know why. Maybe it's just me, but it's quite ugly. The Nissan Leaf was electric, battery powered, and the battery didn't last as long. So the little platypus will be in. I'll also put it in the awful section, since it kind of looks like the PT Cruzer. The Isetta is an Italian design microcar. Because of the egg shape and bubble-like windows, it became known as the bubble car. It looks more like a depressed bubble, really. So we're gonna put this one into the ugly section. Now let's move into something more special, the Ferrari Mondial. Unlike the typical Ferrari that's both elegant and powerful, the Ferrari Mondial doesn't really feel like a Ferrari. It feels more like a Pontiac Fiero or a rebadged Pontiac Fiero. Ferrari means power, thrill, and adventure. The Mondial lacks all key aspects. It has a tiny V8 that generates barely over 200 horsepower, and it takes 9.5 seconds to go from 0 to 60. So in Ferrari terms, an eternity. And the car cost, well, when it was new, $60,000. So we'll put this vehicle in the ugly section, which overall it isn't that ugly, but for a Ferrari, it's quite ugly. Now the stout Scarab, even its name is ugly. This is credited by some as the first production minivan, which it's a really ugly minivan. This looks like a caterpillar try to be a car. So we're gonna put this one in the hideous section. The Nissan Cube. What the car is supposed to be is in its name, a cube. Really creative. To me, it looks like a depressed cube. We already have a depressed bubble, now we have a depressed cube. We'll put this one in the awful. The Kia Soul. I remember that when this car was new, the commercials were hamsters driving the Kia Soul. So you can guess what its inspiration for its design was. Yes, hamsters. And it does look like a hamster. So we're gonna put this one in the ugly section. I know people like hamsters, but as a car, a hamster car, it's ugly. Now, last but not least, the Nissan Juke. It was quite a bold design when this thing came out. It kind of looks like a frog. If I remember correctly, these had turbos, I think, so kind of fast. But its design is quite ugly. We're gonna put it in the ugly section. So that will be it for today on ugly cars. I know there's way more. We'll see, maybe in the future I'll make another video on other ugly vehicles that I find. So let me know if you agree in the comments, or fight me why you don't actually agree a car that I put on the list is ugly. So thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and I will see you later.